Like I said, I don't know about this school. All I know is that I was under the impression it was Scientology inspired, which is basically a bad self-help book. You know, it was. I haven't read Dianetics. I have no desire to read Dianetics. I have read enough self-help books. Yeah, it was the first one. I'll give you that. It was the first self-help book. Well, okay, and it's a bad one. It reads like directions to like a dryer. This is for this. This is a religion? I would really like to sit. Well, actually, I wouldn't. It would bore me to tears. I would, like Medusa. So the last weird thing, I don't know, whatever, that occurred, like dovetailing with Scientology Inc., was that it was another one of these, because these sailor women or whatever they are all men, are all over or whatever. Well, they don't acknowledge that, so it's probably two genders. That are infesting Hollywood Boulevard. Another occurrence was that a WOG goes by another Scientologist, but the WOG is the one that aggressively yells at or hollers or mocks the non-WOG. And says, "Remember John Carr." Now, I don't know what that meant, but it's enough to prick up your ears, right? So I did research. Yes, this is well before there was no internet, but I knew people, and there was a library, and periodicals and things. And John Carr, well, actually, I did more research later when there were computers. It doesn't matter. So this guy hollers this. And I'm just going to touch on this because I have no idea whatever. But I did research on it. And what the guy was referring to, I mixed and matched keywords, is a guy that was allegedly unlived by Scientology Inc. for whatever reason, some nefarious connection with some other unlivers or whatever, I don't know. But that's what he was apparently yelling at this non-WOG, remember John Carr. So Carr. I don't know if you want to look that up. So, I mean, I don't know where else to go with this. Those are my encounters. Personality test, Celebrity Center, some of their methodology, the clearing and everything like that. It's like, that's what everybody knows. But again, it's like, it's platitudinous. That's what it is. You take the Mormonism, you DNA splice it with Walmart, and you get, this CEO of Scientology Inc. that calls himself the head of a church that is a religion. You know why they invoke Buddhism? Because they do community service, because they do outreach, because they, this is this David whatchamacallit's like bragging about, we're almost like Buddhism because we do. I could write a 3-year plan for your global organization and corporation of community service, community giving, any kind of, psychosocial support, CBO, whatever you want to do. God knows how many DBAs you have. During a cat nap, I could do that. Let alone overnight. I could probably give you a decade-long plan for that. So that does not make you a Buddhist. It means you got a good CFO. So there you go. Those are my experiences. I don't care if I offend them. I hope you found it entertaining or informative or enlightening or interesting or boring. This is kind of probably one of those topics I don't mind if you find boring, because they are platitudes. It's just like platitudes, you guys. It's not even like compelling enough to be concerned about, except for their influence globally. So there you go. That's my Scientology Inc. show. And glad you could be here for what it's worth. And tomorrow carries the same menu of items with perhaps a surprise or two. And you know the drill. I love you. Be good to yourself. Be good to those you care about. Almost, as equally as important, because you're really going to need them. And then whoever is not important, is not, enriching your quality of life, just compartmentalize. Be polite. Okay, take care. Bye.